I never thought I'd be the guy telling this story. You know, you hear about these things, the cheating spouse, the gym trainer cliché, but you never think it'll be your wife and your life until it is. My wife, Emma, started working out a lot about a year and a half ago. At first, I was happy for her. She was glowing, energized, motivated. But that motivation slowly became obsession. Her sessions went from 3 times a week to nearly every day. Then weekends. Then late nights. At first, I chalked it up to her trying to reclaim herself. Motherhood, work, routine, it had all buried her spark for a while. We used to talk about everything. Then we only talked about bills and chores. Then, barely that. Sex slowed down. The casual touches stopped. We'd sit next to each other and scroll our phones like strangers in a waiting room. Then came the moment. You know, the one, the shift. I asked her if she wanted to do a weekend trip together. She said she had training on Saturday morning with Jared. That's the first time I really noticed how casually she said his name. Too familiar. So I got curious. Suspicious, maybe. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I opened her phone one night while she was showering. What I saw wasn't just sex talk. It was intimacy. She sent him jokes she never told me. Screenshots of her day. Emotional vents. Photos, some innocent, some not. He replied like he knew her better than I did. I felt like I was reading someone else's love story. And I was the antagonist. I didn't explode. I waited 2 days before confronting her. I asked her directly, "Are you sleeping with Jared?" Her face drained of all color. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry right away either. She just sat down and said, "I didn't mean for it to happen." She said she felt invisible. That Jared listened. That he remembered details. That he made her feel like a person again, not just a wife or mom or calendar manager. She admitted it had been going on for 6 months. That it wasn't always physical, but it had been more than a few times. She also said she was sorry, but that she wasn't sure what she even wanted anymore. We went through hell after that. Therapy, silence, fights, moments of closeness followed by coldness. I asked myself every day if I wasn't enough or if I just didn't show her that she was. I don't know how this story ends yet. We're separated now. She sees the kids on weekends. Jared is apparently no longer in the picture, but honestly, that doesn't matter. The betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the connection she built, one that was supposed to be ours. I can't tell you the exact day it happened. That's the thing about emotional distance, it doesn't show up like a car crash. It creeps in quietly, softly. It settles in the space between your words and actions until one day, you look at the person you love, and they feel like a roommate instead of your partner. We weren't always like that. Emma and I, we were solid. 8 years of marriage, 2 kids, built a home, shared dreams, laughed at the same stupid inside jokes. But over time, something started to shift. And it wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. At first, it was just the way we stopped checking in with each other. I'd come home from work, exhausted, and she'd be on the couch, deep in some reality show or scrolling through her phone. I'd ask how her day went, and she'd just say, "Fine." I'd do the same. That was the extent of it. The connection, the real connection, was slowly fading. And neither of us stopped to ask why. We both got busy. Life got loud. Kids, school runs, jobs, bills. You start thinking, this is just the season we're in. We'll find each other again once things slow down. But things never slow down. Not unless you make them. She started going to the gym again, which I fully supported. She said she needed a release, something for herself. I got it. I even encouraged it. Go for it, I said. Do something just for you. And she did. At first, it was 2 or 3 times a week. Then 4. Then 6. Then it became morning sessions, weekend boot camps, evening HIIT classes. She was committed, and I told myself that was a good thing. She was glowing again. She was energized, smiling more. I thought the gym was healing her. But I wasn't paying attention to the cost. And that cost was our connection. We stopped having real conversations. Sex became rare, and when it happened, it felt robotic. Like we were checking a box instead of sharing something intimate. I'd try to ask about her day, how she was feeling, what was going on in her head, but she'd give me one-word answers. Or she'd get annoyed, or say she was too tired. I remember one night lying in bed next to her, scrolling through my phone while she scrolled through hers, and thinking, how did we get here? She was physically close, inches away, but emotionally she felt miles from me. And still, I didn't ask the hard questions. I didn't press. I didn't want to rock the boat. I assumed this was just what long-term love looked like. I thought, maybe the passion just fades. Maybe this is normal. But looking back now, I realize that I was watching the early warning signs, and I ignored them. I watched the door open, slowly, and I didn't move to close it. I'd see her texting more often. Sometimes late at night. I didn't think much of it. I trusted her. She'd smile at her phone and quickly turn the screen when I walked by. I'd ask, "Who's that?" And she'd just say, "Oh, just Lisa from the gym," or something vague like that. And I believed her. I didn't want to be that insecure guy questioning his wife over every text. But now I know it wasn't Lisa. It was him, Jared, her trainer. What hurts the most? It's not that she slept with someone else. It's that she started turning to him emotionally before she ever touched him physically. That part started while we were still in the same bed, living under the same roof. She began confiding in him, laughing with him, building inside jokes with him, jokes that used to be ours. He didn't steal her. I let the space grow wide enough for someone else to fit. I wish I could tell you I fought harder. That I asked deeper questions. That I held her face in my hands and said, "Where are you?" But I didn't. I was numb, tired, distracted, maybe scared of what the answers would be. That's how emotional distance works. It doesn't show up with a warning label. It starts in the silences. In the things you stop saying. In the touches you stop giving. In the effort you stop making. It started as a gut feeling. That's all it was at first. Not a scream, not a flashing light, just a quiet nudge in my stomach telling me, something's not right. I didn't want to believe it. I pushed it down, ignored it, told myself I was being paranoid. But that feeling, it lingered. She was laughing more, but not with me. I'd hear her giggle from across the room while she was texting. Not just once or twice. Often. It wasn't the laugh she gave me when I made a dumb joke, it was different. Softer, more alive, like something inside her had been lit up again. And the part that broke me? I didn't even know what switch had been flipped. I asked her once casually, "Who's got you smiling like that?" She looked up, smiled like it was nothing, and said, "Oh, just some silly meme Lisa sent me." I nodded, tried to believe it, but that laugh? It haunted me. It was the kind of laugh she used to have with me. And now it was going to someone else. I started noticing things. Her phone never left her side, not even in the bathroom. She started locking it, something she'd never done before. And she became defensive, too defensive if I asked innocent questions. One night she left her phone on the bed while folding laundry, and I swear to you, I had no intention of going through it. But then a notification popped up. Not a name, just a message preview. "Missed you today. Tomorrow?" That feeling in my stomach? It turned into nausea. I picked up the phone. I know how that sounds. I hate that I did it. But in that moment, I had to know. I needed confirmation of what my instincts were already screaming. Her passcode. It was our anniversary date. Still, when I got in, I didn't even have to dig. The messages were right there. Not under his name, she had him saved as JL, not even subtle. What I saw, I can't explain the kind of pain that brings. My hands were shaking. My throat got tight. I could barely breathe. It wasn't just sexts or flirty texts. There were those, sure, pictures, emojis, innuendo. But it was more than that. She was talking to him the way we used to talk. Telling him about her day. Sending him selfies from work. Screenshots of funny tweets. Photos of the kids. The kids. She was blending the life we built together into this secret world with him. She called him babe in one message. But the one that wrecked me was this: "You make me feel like me again." I read it 3 times. That sentence hit harder than any of the explicit stuff. Because it meant he wasn't just a fling. He wasn't just a body. He was her escape, her oxygen. He was the version of herself she wanted to be again, happy, seen, desired. And I hadn't even realized how invisible she'd been feeling. That's what broke me. Not the betrayal of her body, but the betrayal of her heart. I sat there, in the dark, phone in hand, reading the undoing of our marriage in real time. I remember thinking, is this how it ends? Quietly? Through a screen? I didn't know whether to rage or sob. I felt both. I felt everything. When she came out of the shower, I couldn't even look at her. I just handed her the phone and said, "You want to explain this?" She froze, then sat on the edge of the bed and didn't say anything for what felt like an hour. No excuses, no lies, just this one line, "I didn't want you to find out like this." That confirmed it, everything. She didn't deny it, didn't spin it, and that silence was somehow louder than any screaming match we could have had. I asked, "How long?" She whispered, "A few months." I asked, "Why him?" She said, "He listened." That's what destroyed me, not that she cheated, not even that she hid it, but that she gave the emotional version of herself, the real, vulnerable, honest version, to someone else. And that someone wasn't me. You don't realize how deep the knife goes until you see the messages that were meant for someone else's eyes. It wasn't about the sex. It was about the space I didn't even know I left empty and how easily someone else stepped in to fill it. I wish I could tell you I exploded. I wish I could say I flipped a table, shouted her name, accused her of everything and stormed out like in the movies. But I didn't. When I finally confronted her, it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where everything inside you is screaming but your voice doesn't know how to catch up. She was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone like it was any other night. Kids were in bed. The dishwasher was humming. Our dog was snoring in the corner. And I just stood there in the doorway, holding all of it in. I asked, "How long have you been sleeping with Jared?" Her eyes didn't even widen. No gasp, no denial. Just this frozen, blank look, like her body stopped working for a second. And then came the sigh. Not a dramatic one, just a small, tired breath, like she'd been carrying this weight for too long and someone had finally noticed. She said, "I didn't mean for it to happen." That line, "I didn't mean for it to happen," I must have replayed that in my head 1,000 times since. Because what does that even mean? You just accidentally trip and fall into someone's bed? But I didn't say that. Not then. I just pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. She started crying before I even asked anything else. And I didn't. I didn't cry. I just sat there, numb. Hollow. Like my heart had left the room and left me behind to listen to the ruins. I asked her why. That's all I wanted. Not the details. Not the timeline. Just one word. Why? She said she felt invisible.